Welcome back for part two. Let's pick up with the cal infinitive construct and the spelling of the one noon infinitive constructs. When you have, with the one noon verbs, there's two possible forms of the infinitive construct. The first form conforms to the strong verb pattern. In the second form, the second form drops the noon in the first root positions and adds a tau to the ending verb. So the noon drops out and adds a tau, and it's spelled like a segolet or segolet, however you want to pronounce that. So let's look at what we have here. You've got your verbal root, nasa. Then with the infinitive construct, it's naso, and then you have the alternate form with the tau, and you're going to find this alternate form so frequent and it doesn't. I mean, look at this, naso, and then saeth. Those look nothing alike. So again, you're going to have to know your vocabulary and be able to try out some ideas here. So what we have here is nasoa, and this is in the infinitive construct with the noon. The nasoa, nagoa, natoa, neso, and nethon. Then, in its alternate form with the tau, that noon drops out, what you end up with is saeth instead of, you have saeth instead of nasoa, ga'eth instead of nagoa, ta'eth instead of netoa, gesheth instead of neso, and you get the idea that, and especially here in this last form for Natan, you get basically ta'et. And so what is causing this? And I know some of you are not into morphology, and morphology is just the breaking down of trying to figure out what happens in a language. Let's look at our word here, Nathan. Got a noon, tau, and a final noon. So this is our basic word, Natan. So what happens is that this first noon is going to drop out. Let me get my red pen going here. The first noon drops out, and then what you have left is tan. You're going to get a doggish here in the tau. See, I'm having to go backwards. That's really weird. There we go. So you'll get a doggish forte there, and the doggish forte can't really be there because of this final noon, because it's going to want to take another tau as well. So you've got this E-class vowel, and everything's wanting to either strengthen or go in a different direction. So what happens is that this noon completely drops out. So all your noons are gone. You keep your doggish forte, and you end up with ta'et. And that's kind of the morphology of it. And it's just everything is shifting and changing. And all I can say, because Nathan is one of those words in Hebrew that, again, you will find it used over and over again, I recommend that you memorize this word in this form, because you're going to see, again, Nathan is like Hayah. You just need to memorize it, because it is one of those frequent words that you'll find in Hebrew over and over and over again. So the one yod, we have Shebeth, Resheth, Leveth, Reveth, Dieth, Zieth, and Lakath. So you have your verbal root and then your infinitive construct. What you see happening is that your comments drops out, your patha drops out of most, and they're replaced by segols. Now, the yod is going to drop out completely, and you're going to add the tau at the end. and it's going to be spelled like whenever it's possible, it's going to be spelled like a sigillate. And so the thing here to remember is that your yod drops out at the front, a tau picks up at the end, and it's going to be spelled like a sigillate whenever possible. I'm not going to ask you to memorize these because I'm going to allow you to take your parsing sheets in with you to do your quizzes, but you do need to know that this happens, and to be aware of that, so that when you start doing your translation work, you don't spend all of your time looking at your parsing sheet or running to your lexicon. You have enough of the basic rules of Hebrew that you're able to go and find them. When you parse, for quizzes and for other reasons, when you parse your cal infinitive construct, remember you're not going to be parsing for person, gender, or number. It's therefore only going to be the stem and the conjugation and the translation. So it'll just be cal infinitive construct. There will be no need to put second masculine singular because that just doesn't exist for the cal infinitive constructs. Now, cal infinitive constructs love pronominal suffixes. Infinitive constructs, they are not isolation words. If they were people, they would not be introverts. They don't want to go and be by themselves. Cal infinitive constructs are extroverts. They want others to come and join them. So they're going to love pronominal suffixes and prepositional prefixes. So first, let's look at the pronominal suffixes, because you're going to find this all over the place, and I can't emphasize enough about you needing to be familiar with this. If you are rusty on your pronominal suffixes, take a little bit of time and go back over the chapter that deals with pronominal suffixes. The infinitive construct can take pronominal suffixes that function as either the subject or object of the verbal idea. And in this chart here, you can see that the comments under the kof is a comments hatuf. And you can see the spelling changes there when you're adding your pronominal suffixes to your cal infinitive constructs. And so be familiar with that. Again, don't spend a lot of time memorizing this. You should already know your pronominal suffixes and you should already know your vocabulary. But just know that you'll be able to take your parsing charts in with you, and that does include your pronominal suffix endings. So you'll be able to find those pretty easily. Now, the inseparable prepositions, lamed, kaf, and bay, they can be prefixed to the infinitive constructs with a range of uses and translations. When you put your lamed in front of it, in order or to remember. When you put your kof in front of it, when or while observing. You have zakor. Of course, zakar means to remember. You have lizkor here, and when it's prefixed with that lamed, it means in order to remember. Then you have shmor, and it's prefixed with the kof, and it's kishmor, when or while observing. So the important thing there is to know that your inseparable prepositions, when they're prefixed, it's not going to translate the same way that it does when you prefix it to a noun. So you do need to be familiar with how those translations changes. Now, when with prepositional prefixes and pronominal suffixes, frequently the infinitive construct will take both a prepositional prefix and a pronominal suffix. Again, these are extroverts. They do not want to be alone. They want prefixes and suffixes and anything else. They want everyone to come join their party. And here we have koshomo. Koshomo. It's 3 syllables. Koshomo. And it's going to be translated when he hears or when he heard. And what you have here is the cal infinitive construct shomo with the preposition kof and the third masculine singular pronominal suffix. And so the kof in front, when he hears. And of course the he is the third masculine singular pronominal suffix. So Now, what we're doing is we're taking words that we already know and we're adding prefixes and we're adding suffixes to them, and we're making pretty much entire sentences or at least phrases from one word. Hebrew is economical, if nothing else. Things that in English it might take us 5 or 6 words to say can be said in one word of Hebrew. Bereshith bara Elohim. In the beginning, God created. In English, it's lengthy, but in Hebrew, it's short. Bereshith bara Elohim, 3 words. And then in English, we need this really long sentence to translate it. So I'm going to stop there because I think that's enough to give you an idea. And again, your workbook is your friend. Make sure that you're going through your workbook and that you're going through it again and again until you get it. I again apologize for the rapid pace at which we are doing this, but we are doing the best that we can with what we have been given, and we are going to trust that the Lord is going to empower us to see this thing through, not just as survivors, but as victorious at the end. So God bless you guys. Have an awesome week, and I'll see you next week.